finally finished. Here it is. A 1995 NSR150 two-stroke. It's on the road. Registered, as you can see. It's got a plate. And the tax is paid. So where to start talking about this thing? So I guess the color, it was originally going to be bronze and silver. But those colors turned out to be, I don't know, the silver doesn't tend to look as silver as you think it's going to, so I decided not to use silver for most of the bike, except the engine cover here. But black and gold, I think, was a good choice, and looks nice. So where do I start? Everything's been changed, everything's been painted. We have new turn signals, a new brake light or rear light. The seat was finished by my friends at Hellman Riders. They're a body shop, and they did the seat custom. Not the seat part, but the whole rear end here was rebuilt. This is not original here. This is added on extra and then painted with the frame at the same time. The seat was done by a different shop that had nothing to do with this, but I think they did a pretty good job. It's not exactly what I envisioned, but because it's a little bit wider, but it's pretty good, I think. The exhaust is one of the things about the bike I don't like all that much. It's kind of a cheapo exhaust. I wish I bought a nicer one, like a stainless one, because it's already starting to show a little rust. The brake lines are stainless steel. The rear brakes and the front brakes are the original brakes. I was thinking of buying nice fancy Brembos, but one of the guys at one of the shops advised me not to spend much on the brakes and just use the original because, well, I'm not going to drive this bike very fast for one thing, and it's a very lightweight bike. It doesn't need nice brakes, and the old brakes are kind of cool anyway. The brakes were rebuilt. The mechanic rebuilt the brakes and put new pads in, painted. They've been painted, of course. The rear brake was a mess before. Like this, it was falling down and it wasn't on right because this piece was missing. This metal rod, it was not on before. So this is an aftermarket one. It was a little bit expensive for what it is, but it was worth it. The rear brake master cylinder here. Look. The rear brake master cylinder is new. That was not very expensive. The rear sets are new. They were a little bit pricey, but worth it. They were made for this bike, and they're good quality. The rear shock was a little expensive, but worth it. It's a YSS. I don't know the particular details of it, but it's a nice shock, and it feels good. The air filter, this bike used to have an air box, but on a cafe racer, like naked bike like this, it would be kind of ugly. So we threw away the air box and we put the aftermarket pod filter on, which seems to work pretty good. The brake fluid reservoir is a nice gold cap. I like that. I bought that. The tank cap has been replaced and painted because it was not working well. It was a mess before. These decals here are aftermarket. They're not, but I think they look good with it. The tank was in bad shape before, the original tank, but the guys that did all this body work and painting, they took all the dents out of the tank and they did a very nice job sanding it and doing what needed to be done before it was painted. And of course they put the stripe on it too. The mirrors, bar end mirrors here are new. The grips here are new. I like these grips. Clutch handle is new. These bolts in the triple tree and main bolt here are new, and they are kind of expensive. All these fancy silver bolts that you see, there's a ton of these silver bolts. They're expensive, but I think worth it because they're nice and they give a little extra shine to the bike. The ignition is new. This triple tree, I don't know exactly what to call this thing, but this is new because when we originally painted it gold, and it was the same gold as this. But then some brake fluid got on it and made a big nasty streak, because brake fluid of course destroys paint. So we then replaced it and painted with a different one. The brake here, this is the brake master cylinder. It's a Brembo original, nice brakes. A little bit expensive, but it was worth it. This is again matching the rear brake reservoir. This is original. You can see this looks old, the kill switch, and there's nothing's been done to it. I'm thinking of painting it red right here, but I don't know if I will. The throttle housing is new. Well, let's see. Wait, watch out, maybe don't touch that for a second. As you can see, here's the gauge cluster. Gauge cluster was really ratty and nasty, and old, worn out black plastic, but we painted it, and now it looks nice that it's painted. I got the little steampunk, that was from a steampunk keychain. It's just a nice little touch up there, I think. It looks kind of cool. Everything on the gauge cluster works. The speedometer, RPM, and temperature gauge work, but the fuel gauge does not work, and it probably won't work anytime soon. So I have to check inside the gas tank every now and then to make sure there's still some gas. Oh, nice little touch with the watch, right? I like the watch here. Come around. Oh, the choke is the original, but the choke's been painted. This is one of the coolest things about the bike. This, and there's another one on the other side. This is for the 2T oil, the two-stroke oil. It has to go somewhere, and we don't want this ugly plastic tank on the back of the bike where it originally was. So we had to make a new tank, and this is custom made. The mechanic that put the bike together, he made it. He commissioned someone to make this tank custom, and it's really cool. I think it wasn't very expensive either. This, believe it or not, is a door handle. I thought this radiator looks like it needs something. It's just black and kind of ugly. So I went to the hardware store, and I was looking at all these fancy shiny metal things, and I'm like, oh, what kind of cool thing can I put on there? And it turns out this door handle fits the radiator perfectly. I even measured, so you can see, you know, we just drilled some holes in the radiator and stuck it right on with some side clamps. So that's pretty cool, I think. The radiator is new, and it's an NSR radiator meant for the bike, and the bike is a lot cooler now. I mean, like literally cooler, because it has a good cooling system. The water pump had to be replaced and worked on a lot. It was leaking coolant, but that's been fixed today. So down here we got the engine case. It's been painted. Got these fancy bolts all in it and stuff. This is the only little ugly spot. Go up a little on the bike. I kind of want to turn that in to make it look nice somehow, but it's not top priority. The red Honda thing was painted on. I think it looks good. This was painted. This is covers the sprocket to keep the dirt out, and that was painted black. The kicks, Mimi, don't shake the bike. This kickstand is brand new. The original kickstand was too small and it was in bad shape, so it's a new kickstand. The chain and sprocket are new. I probably mentioned that before. What else am I forgetting? Anything on this side? Yeah. So the Kickstarter here is new. And this is cool, right? This is a part of a, believe it or not, a toilet paper holder. So is the go up a little. And this, you know how when you go in the bathroom and it's got this fancy metal on the toilet paper? Well, that's what that is. Oh, that'll look cool on my bike somewhere. It's covering some ugly black electronic box underneath here. So I think it does a nice job. And this fit perfectly on the kickstart lever with there's rubber underneath here to keep it on nicely. And yeah, I think it turned out well. What more is there to say? Everything on the bike. Oh, these hoses. I decided these are for decoration. This is just decoration. There's a rubber hose inside, but this comes from a toilet bum gun. That in Thailand we use a sprayer to spray your butt in the bathroom, and they've got these metal hoses. So I thought, oh, that'll be cool to cover these ugly rubber hoses. So I got one there. There's one here. I want to put more on, but the mechanic's kind of like, I think it's enough. And he's probably right. We've done enough with this bike. And what else is there to say? Yeah, I'm really happy how it turned. Oh, the tires. So these are retro tires, as you can see. I used a whiteout pen to write retro and all these letters and numbers and stuff on it. And the rear tire is even more impressive. Way too big for the bike. This is an 18-inch rim, which is a big rim, and then having these huge tires on top of it on the bike, which is actually a small bike. This is really a compact bike, so this enormous tire, I think it looks pretty cool. So many little things have been painted, like this is painted black and this was painted, and yeah, the guys that helped me on this project, the Thai guys, they really did a great job, and I'm really thankful for how much they helped me. I don't think anybody tried to rip me off, and a lot of people gave me a good deal on things, so I'm really happy how it turned out. Especially the last guy that I worked with, he was really into making it, you know, he kind of took charge in getting all these bolts and nuts to make it look nice and putting everything together nicely, and he really helped make my vision complete, kind of sense what I wanted. Yeah, so I mean, I worked with, how many people worked on this bike? Let's see. The first original guy that fixed it and got it running, and then I went to another shop to do the tear down, and they helped me source some parts and tires and stuff, and they ended up fixing the clutch, and then they referred me to the original painter. And then there was the other shop, who one of my students' father of my students owns the shop. It's the auto body shop, and they did the whole seat and the painting, and that was a lot of the work. But then it was just all in pieces. The bike was in pieces, so we moved all the pieces over to the last guy, who put it all together with his crew and helped get all the parts that were still needed to be replaced, and all the bolts and nuts, and put everything together, make sure it was running well. The last guy, he's a kind of a two-stroke bike enthusiast, so he was really into this project. And but yeah, everybody helped, and they were all fantastic to deal with. The language barrier, I'm not very great at Thai, but I speak enough. But the language barrier was never too much of a problem. And yeah, and you're probably wondering how much it all cost. I think I kept track of pretty much everything I spent, all the money I spent on it, and I want to say I'm at about $2,200 to $2,300 US dollars. So not too bad, I think. That's buying the bike, that's registering it, that's painting it, doing all the whole project like this, buying all new parts, buying, you know, some what else? Everything, including this watch and the gas in it and the oil, and I think it was a good deal. So I'm pretty happy with everything about it. So it's real fun to drive too. I mean, it runs very smooth. It's not very fast because of the rear wheel being so large. I mean, that takes away from some of the speed, but I don't care. I'm not trying to drive it fast. But you know, on the highway, 60 miles an hour, it feels really smooth and nice, and really planted on the road. It's not wobbling and stuff. The suspension's kind of stiff, and it feels like an old bike, which is not a bad thing, but it feels old, and it's loud too. But it runs well, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So now I need to take my daughter for a ride. She can sit on the back. No, just kidding. Wouldn't do that. Not yet. It'll be her bike someday, though, right? So that's my NSR, and hope you enjoyed the before and after. And thanks for watching.